If you're like many people, you might think estate planning has nothing to do with you. In fact, you might not really understand what do we mean by estate planning and how does it even apply to me? Well, if you're one of those people or you just need a little more information, today's the day. So stay tuned because our guests and I are going to talk all about estate planning. Stay tuned. Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Scan FYI. So my guest today is attorney Adam Rubin. Hi there, Adam.
Hi, Andrea. Great to see you again.
Great to see you, and thanks for joining me. Why don't you just introduce yourself a little bit better than I did, and tell the folks who you are and where you're from.
Okay, terrific. Well, I'm very proud to say my name is, well, no, I'm proud to say I'm a Monmouth County guy. My name is Adam Rubin. I grew up down the shore, and naturally, as when it came time to raising a family and joining a law firm, that's where I wanted to be. So I'm an estate planning and outer law attorney with Levine, Furman, and Rubin, where the firm's been around for 41 years. I've been around the same time, but not with the firm. We we have two offices in East Brunswick and Jackson, and the entire focus of our firm is estate planning, elder law, and administration, helping people when a loved one passes. And the goal is we want to use the law to tie up those loose ends in your life. That's really whether it's make sure there's no fighting, make sure your wishes are accomplished. That's really our motivating factor.
Okay, and you know what? For everyone listening out there, of course, we'll put all of Adam's contact info in the comments and whatnot in case you want to reach out to him. And can I also let everyone know that we are excited to say that Adam is one of our newer board members at SCAN.
And I'm excited to be on the board. I think it's tremendous. When Tracy Wolfman introduced me and said, "Hey, this would be great," and introduced me to Mike and everyone. And the first board meeting, my head was spinning because it's very clear the direction SCAN's going in is just a terrific direction to great people who are dedicated, motivated to being assets to the senior community.
Well, our heads tend to spin every day, but we're going to try not to do that on camera.
Ah,
So first of all, as I said, in my opener, I feel like a lot of people don't really have an understand. What do we mean when we say estate planning, and is it for everyone?
okay. The short answer is yes. Estate planning is for everyone. So many people. The old estate planning joke, and then we'll get into what exactly is estate planning. Is I'll meet with a young couple who have two little kids, and they'll say to me, "Oh, I don't need a will. I don't need a trust. I'm too young. I don't need those documents." And then you'll meet with a senior citizen, and they'll say, "My kids are adults. I don't need a will." So that's the old. I hear that a lot. But estate
I'm too
planning,
young. I'm too old.
right? No, it's like no one is just right. um, but the people estate planning, I would say it's using legal documents to capture your wishes and protect yourself. It's very, very much about you. Everyone always thinks about it as, oh, estate planning, he's the guy that writes a will. But there's just so much more to that because it's really about protecting your legacy, and also making sure that there's a whole element if you ever have to go to the hospital, if you're ever incapacitated, making sure one, your wishes are followed medical wise, and two, the right people are going to be appointed throughout the process. So that, and from the 30,000-foot view, is estate planning.
All right. Well, that obviously applies to everyone. And I get that because at SCAN we always hear about I don't need it. My kids are adults, but yeah, that's probably when you need it the most. And even for someone who says, well, I'm a senior, I'm on a fixed income, a low income, maybe I don't even have kids, but that somebody still has to speak for you, or you still need documents, I should say, to speak for you if you cannot.
Absolutely. That's one I get a lot as well. And we actually talked about in the office, because so many people think I don't have children, I don't need an estate plan. And it goes back to the idea where it's about a will. But those are the people who, if you don't have children or a small family, I think you can make an argument you need planning more than ever. because you need to decide. Again, it's about protecting yourself. You need to decide who's going to be the family member or friend or professional corporation who's going to talk and help you with finances. It's a mystery. And I mean, that's one that if we don't plan for it, that's a guaranteed court battle.
I guess a lot of people think, well, I'm going to pass away and who's going to care? My kids are going to just take care of everything. But I think that is rarely the case. And what if your kids don't agree? So the point of it is, if you don't, you're protecting yourself. I mean, it's really about what you want, not what your family wants.
Right. That's exactly the way to do it. It's your legacy. Now your legacy, of course, all of our legacies, if we have family, do involve other people. You know, I have two little daughters. Any legacy I leave, the number one thing I consider myself a good lawyer, but the number one thing I consider myself first is a father. I'm all right. If my wife ever listens, and a husband, I'll say, but point being, that family is my legacy, and what I leave them and how I leave it is my opportunity to make sure that the values I implemented are still in place. So that's absolutely a big deal.
So
That's
what are the steps that people need to take to accomplish this?
So the first thing is, a lot of people think, and this is something I want to clear up because, this is one of the things that people don't necessarily like talking about. Okay.
No, of
Let's
course
call
not.
it what it is. It's not a fun conversation. And I always tell people, don't worry about preparing too much to talk about it. You don't, because the lawyers, who, whether it's me or another professional, they're going to walk you through the questions. They're going to help you with the thought process. You're not expected to go and have an outline of plans. What all you need really is to find a professional you're comfortable with. Do not do something like this on your own. At that point, I really recommend I I don't know if doing it on your own is really better than doing nothing, to be honest with you. But because it's just my firm belief is you need a professional. Um, and all you really need is a list of your assets and just some ideas of what you'd want to happen. But again, don't overthink it. There's people who are going to help guide you on those decisions. Because my biggest concern, if someone's overthinking it, or if they don't go to the lawyer because they're unsure and they're waiting to have a better idea, that, you know, no one ever knows their last day, you don't. So that's the thing about planning. So it's don't waste too much time trying to trying to walk into a lawyer's office with all the answers. Let the professionals help you get your answers.
Well, I guess the whole point of seeing a professional is because, well, I don't have any of the answers. I just know what I need to accomplish. And I'm putting myself in the hands of someone who has the answers. And I like how you said it, and guides me through the process. Because like so many things in life, when you overanalyze in your mind, you don't do anything, right? Analysis to paralysis, and then you didn't do anything.
Right. Absolutely. That's very true. You overanalyze it 100%.
So all we really need to not to minimize it, but what we need to have with us to prepare to speak to a professional such as yourself would be like a listing of our assets. And what does that mean exactly?
So a list of your assets, it's really just, you just write it on a piece of the old yellow pad, which I'm
Okay,
sure
so we
everyone
don't have
has.
to make a bigger deal even out of that. Okay.
No, and it's just about we want to know the assets because we know we can help identify the exposure and say, you have an IRA. IRAs play by different rules than an investment account. So, you just write down and whose name things are in. And frankly, a lot of lawyers, and I would be okay with this too, if it's too much to do, just bring in statements and a copy of the deed, and that will, we can help interpret the assets if that's easier.
All right, so it's really not such a big deal to prepare to meet with a professional. I like that. You just
Right.
write it down on a piece of paper, bring it in, and you're going to ask all the questions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that
because,
makes sense.
it's almost like I don't want to see people beat themselves up thinking they need to have, come in with a perfect plan because there's things, I'm very fortunate. because this is all we do, we have a lot of experience. So I've seen the issues. So I'll tell you when it's a bad idea to name 3 kids to handle something, or it's a bit, I'll tell you when I don't, when you're giving $1 million to an 18-year-old grandchild, I'll tell you when to pump the brakes.
Yeah. All right. Well, good to know. So, who is most vulnerable if they don't make a plan? I mean, would it be
I
the
mean,
senior who
yeah,
has
that's
no?
what I didn't want to say, but seniors, yeah, I'd say so because you know there's a lot because again, it's the exposure. It's not even seniors have all the issues we see in one way or another. Seniors face, right? There's the threat of long-term care expenses wiping out the assets.
Right.
Obviously, someone can pass, but even incapacity. And one of the things that scares me the most and why I push so hard for people to have a plan is getting older, not old, getting older, um, is filled with gray. And I don't mean hair. I
Oh,
mean,
you
there's
don't mean hair. Okay.
no, and no, um, um, but it's filled with a lot of gray area.
Yeah.
And a lot of times getting older, having memory issues, needing help, it's not always black and white. It's not like a broken arm, where you see it. So having a right plan helps you transition where people can help you along the way, but at the same time, they help you along the way. They're not necessarily taking power away from you.
I feel like sometimes people do worry that, or they're fearful that they're going to surrender power. But on the other hand, I feel like when you do this, you're taking the power back because
Um,
you get to, oh, I got it, okay.
Absolutely. That's yeah, you cracked the code, Andrea.
Oh, look
Because
at that.
that's what it is. It's almost like people are sitting there going, I don't want to give up control. Well, you know, I to be blunt, Father Time has a very good record. He's undefeated.
Undefeated.
So, whatever unfortunate occurrences occur in our future, they're coming. And if you don't take the time to prepare documents and decide who you want to get assets and who you want to be in control at various times, you're not in control because it's going to be decided and then it gets decided by the court in a process called a guardianship. So you crack the code. Estate planning is about control. It's about you tying up your loose ends.
Right. Well, about you personally having control over your wishes. Well, because I know when people say, what do I need a will for? I don't have any family, this and that. And I always think like if I don't make my own choices, the state or the IRS or somebody else makes it for me, and I'm gone, so I can't fight back. But that's that's surrendering all of your control.
And estate planning, most attorneys in our field, I really believe we see it as education. Because if someone has a meeting with an estate planning lawyer and they learn their options and they say, you know what, I'll roll the dice. I'll take my chance with the state. I don't need to give up control. Or I don't need to necessarily write things down. I'll take my chances. That's their prerogative, but at least that person it's not a choice I would make, but it is an educated choice. The ones we can't have are the people who are in the dark about it. That's the scary ones. You have to know what you're giving up and not getting a plan done.
Well, one of the other things that, I mean, we talk about this at SCAN a lot is, the whole idea of being prepared and making your choices while you're able to make your choices. Because if you find yourself incapacitated, whether it's mentally or physically, and like you said, we don't know our expiration date, we don't know this. So if something happens and you've not made a plan and now you're not able to make a plan, well, I should have done this, I should have done that. So you want to plan while you're physically and mentally able to make your plan. And again, that's why it's not a great idea of waiting and waiting and waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen. Amen, sister.
Yeah, well, because we talk about this a lot, and yet it's just it's an ongoing issue. But I want to let our listeners know that luckily for us, Adam has agreed to come on Scan FYI periodically and talk about all kinds of things. But I think that there is so much more that we could talk about today. And I wish because Adam you had given me like 4 different topics. And I feel like each of them could be its own little show. So I think that would be a lot better for us and our viewers. And then we can take a deep dive into some of these aspects of estate planning. Does that sound good?
I would love it. Honestly, I'm very, very grateful and feel fortunate to be a part of this organization. What you're doing, the advocacy, and what I and asking a lawyer to talk. I'm going to tell you a secret, Andrea. Lawyers like talking. So anytime you give me a floor, I'll take it.
Well, Adam was a guest on our podcast, and I remember I said to you, well, my mother was a lawyer, so I heard a lot of it. I got interrogated quite a bit as a young kid. So,
and look how great you turned out.
Yeah, I know. Well, now I'm interrogating. But I feel it's worthy because, protecting yourself, I'd like to talk about, tax ramifications and really what does happen when you pass away. What is the process? All of this. So I feel like I think that is a much better way to handle this and to really put out a lot better info for people. Parse it out one topic at a time.
Absolutely.
Good? All right.
Sounds
So
perfect.
I think that's exactly how we're going to handle this. But meanwhile, at least I feel like we did give a kind of an overview of what we mean by estate planning. And that's the first step, is just understanding what needs to be done. And like I said, we're going to put all of Adam's info, his contact info, in the comments in case you want to reach out to him. Or the point is reach out to somebody, right? Reach out to somebody. And it's not a do it yourself thing. I totally get that. You need to involve a professional because you want it done so that it stands up in court, right?
You want it done right. And I've seen there's just certain documents where it's so easy to screw up, to be honest. I don't know.
Definitely.
We're in New Jersey, we're not subtle, we go for it. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's so easy to make mistakes and have unintended consequences.
All right.
That's why everything's
that's
education.
what we want to avoid. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Adam Rubin, I appreciate you being my guest this morning on Scan FYI, and we're gonna have a multi-part session on this, so you can all stay tuned for more. Okay.
Andrea, thank you for this incredible experience.
My pleasure. So remember out there, if it's important to you, it's important to us. I'm Andrea Tarr. We'll see you next time on Scan FYI. Bye, everyone. Bye, Adam.